Go ahead and come into seated, and that can be any seated posture that you like. A lot of times in yoga, we're called to sit with our legs crossed, and I'll get into some of the nerdier details on why that's not always the best thing. If that speaks to you and that's comfortable, then please feel welcome to do that anyway. And then anything else that you would enjoy. So it could be kneeling. It doesn't have to be. You know, whatever works for you for now. And this may be something that you evolve and adapt over time. So I'm going to start off with my legs crossed loosely. And something that I encourage either with tight hips or with any kind of knee challenge is to elevate your pelvis. So that may be something like sitting on a block. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can sit on any kind of cushion, like even a folded like couch pillow. But by bringing your hips up, what that does is it provides just a little bit more support. So there's less of an inclination to have that grabbing in your hip flexors. And also the other thing that I really like to encourage students to do is not to get too caught up in how crossed your legs are. So we are oftentimes encouraged to do things that are very like tangled, like you'll say like stack and, you know, like the bound lotus posture. And that's actually really prohibitive for knee health. So I, for myself, like to sit just with one leg in front of the other. And then I also encourage people to do that. It's a much gentler posture for your hips. It's much gentler for your knees as well. So just getting comfortable here, and then go ahead and feel for a quality of arrival. So take a nice deep inhale and then let it out through an open mouth. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale fully and exhale. And 1 more breath like that. Inhale and exhale. And then from there, I invite you to find a rhythm between both halves of your breath. So if it's helpful for you, maybe you count to 3 or 6 for the inhale, and then an even count of 3 or 6 for the exhale. Here we'll set intention for practice. So for tonight's practice, I invite you to explore the quality of seemingly unrelated things. So we're going to get curious about how things like lower back discomfort may actually be more related to another area of the body. We'll get curious about things like what knee discomfort has to do with the hips. And there's a term that I really love that speaks acutely to that, both in body and many other things. And, you know, it's the as above, so below. So for tonight's practice, setting intention around whatever aspect of that speaks to you. And then go ahead and invite that to connect with your breath. So as you inhale, inspiring this quality of just sort of relational curiosity. And then as you exhale, surrender and release anything that does not serve that. And we'll stay here for another breath. Inhale and exhale. And then from there, you're welcome to come out of this seat and we'll find our way to table. So I'm going to place my block aside. But we'll start off in hands and knees and table. I always like every practice to begin with warming up the spine. When we start to get really juicy through our central nervous system, everything else is going to move more efficiently. So if you feel like, you know, you're really tight in your shoulders, sometimes we want to like warm those up. But before we warm those up, we definitely want to warm up the spine. So for this next piece, just exploring a quality of fluidness as you move, slide your heart forward, and think of that movement coming all the way from the tailbone through the crown of the head. And then when you're ready, you'll go ahead and draw the tailbone under and feel that movement come through the spine, allowing it to come all the way through the neck. On an inhale, allow it to come forward, extend. And on your exhale, allow it to round. And we'll do 3 more breaths like that. Inhale from your hips, low back, mid back, upper back, neck. Exhale from the hips, low back, mid back, upper back, neck. Inhale from the hips, low back, mid back, upper back, neck. And one more time, exhale, round through it. So even if that idea of moving through those parts feels really inaccessible right now, just starting to think about moving that way rather than being able to move that way is going to be really helpful for you. So finding a neutral spine here, we'll go ahead and open up the shoulders, take your right arm up, and then relax through your wrist and elbow. When we loosen through the outer body, we have to use the shoulder a little bit differently. So this is going to help you get into a warmth through that space. Begin to sweep some circles with that right arm. And then just notice here, like, where is your weight supported in this? Are you heavy in that left hand? You can let your hips shift back a little bit. Change direction with those circles. And then reach up, inhale. As you exhale, thread this right arm through behind the left, lower to hover the shoulder off the mat. So we're not going to come down quite yet. On an inhale, open it up. As you exhale, thread it through and hover. And one more time, inhale, open it up. Exhale, thread it through. And this time, place that right shoulder on the mat. Gently place the right side of the head on the mat. If you need extra support, let's say your neck is really, really tight here, you can always place, again, something like a block or maybe a folded pillow or blanket there. With your left arm, you're going to bring your left arm to stack on top of that right palm. So you'll be laying on that right shoulder with the hand stacked on the palm there. And this is just a passive rotation for the spine for now. You'll start to feel all around that right shoulder illuminating. And then we're going to activate this by pressing the back of your right arm into the floor. And then soften it off a little bit. So just let it be passive there for a moment. Inhale. As you exhale, press, actively resist, and soften. And one more breath like that. Press and soften. And then go ahead and slowly come out. Place that left hand on the mat. Gently come up and find that tabletop alignment here. Inhale, slide your heart forward. Feel that movement come all the way through the spine. Exhale to round. Just notice the quality, the relationship between left and right side. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. And one more breath like that. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. And then go ahead and find your neutral. On the inhale, take that left arm up, get soft through both elbows. Begin to circle out this left arm. So you're finding those big swirling circular movements. And then reverse direction with those circles. Reach up, inhale. As you exhale, thread this left arm through, hover the shoulder off the mat. You can bend that right elbow straight back to hover it. That'll give you a little shoulder work there. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, thread it through and hover, reaching through that left hand. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, thread it through. This time, place that left shoulder on the mat. Place the left side of the skull on the mat. Notice that you're not putting a lot of weight into your head. So if you are heavy in your neck here, you want to shift your hips back a little bit more. So it's not going to be putting weight into your neck unnecessarily. Stack your right arm on top of that left palm. Take a moment here. Make any little shifts or adjustments that you might need to. Inhale, find that softness. And then as you exhale, press the back of that left arm into the floor. And then inhale, feel for that softness. Exhale, press and resist. And another breath there. Inhale and exhale. And just explore for where the sensations begin and end with that. So it's going to be different for each of us. Go ahead and take that right hand onto the mat. Gently find your way back up toward that table. And then from here, go ahead and come up to a tall kneeling position. If you're comfortable coming back to seated in more of like a modified hero's pose, that's great. If not, just come up tall and begin to roll out the shoulders here. Just creating some nice circular movement with the shoulders. Notice where your head is in this, both literally and figuratively. So if you're, head forward posture, you want to start to feel for floating your skull over your rib cage, and then reverse direction with those circles. On an inhale, float your arms up. As you exhale, bring your hands back down to the mat, finding that tabletop alignment there. Lengthen back through your right leg, and then drag your right toes out off the left side of your mat. So just kind of drag it out behind you. Soften back toward the left. So you're going to kind of bring your hands light on the mat. You're reaching that left hip back. You'll start to feel a pretty bright stretch through the outside of that left thigh up into your gluteal area. And this is going to be really nice for releasing the lower back. So just breathing with that sensation there. Inhale. And then if you'd like to add to this, exhale, reach that right arm out and kind of bend it to the left as well. So you're creating this kind of arcing shape to the body there. And take a breath. Inhale. And exhale, gently release it back down. Bring that right knee back. We'll switch sides. Left leg comes back. Slide those left toes out off to the right. And then go ahead and soften that right hip back so you feel that equal quality through the right side. Option here of reaching that left arm out. So you're creating that arcing shape through the body there. Releasing through the lower back. That whole lateral line through the outside of the thigh, it comes up and continues on through the oblique. So you're going to feel this in many different areas. Inhale. As you exhale, gently release it, take it back. Tuck your toes. Inhale, extend the spine. On your exhale, allow your hips to float back and up toward downward facing dog. And then take a moment here and adjust your down dog. There's so much misconception about this posture, and there's no need for it. So before we get much deeper into some of the details of other things, I'd like for you to just sort of let go of the idea of having your heels on the mat. It doesn't matter. It's not necessary. There are many ways to open up the back body. Down dog doesn't have to be the one to do that. So you can have your knees bent. You can have your heels floating up. That's great. What I would like for you to consider is, are your kneecaps and your toes pointing the same place? So just take a look there. If you have a natural internal rotation to your thighs, your knees are going to kind of like roll in toward each other. Maybe you have more external rotation. That's probably more common. And those knees will sort of point outward. So you want to align your kneecaps and your second toe. And then from there, let's go ahead and check in with the shoulders. So we did that rolling in our tall kneeling position a moment ago. Try rolling your shoulders here in down dog. So you get out of the trappings of over grabbing in the shoulders. When you start to reset what feels like maybe stillness or what feels like strength, and just exploring those qualities there. And then change direction with your rolling. See if maybe it's one of those things that turns into like, can you tap your head and rub a circle on your belly at the same time? Might be very unnatural feeling. That's great for your nervous system. And take a moment, find center, no rolling left. Your gaze will be forward. Inhale. And on your exhale, walk your hands back toward your feet. So you're going to come into a low crouching position. Your hips are come down. You are welcome to keep your hands on the mat for balance. You can also experiment with taking them up. Maybe you take them up and put them back down. So here, your heels are absolutely off the mat. You'll grab your toes into the mat. So I want you to think of being like a bird on a perch right now, almost like you're wrapping your toes around. So you create this prehensile quality to the feet. That's going to help fire up that plantar fascia there. So just take another moment. Inhale, exhale, and one more breath there. Inhale. On your exhale, release your heels, lengthen your legs, and fold forward. So come into a gentle forward fold here. Now notice where the weight is in your feet. So a lot of us with tension in the back body are going to naturally drop back into our heels. I want you to shift your weight forward more into your toes. So you just really woke your feet up with that grabbing of the toes. Use that awareness there. So shift the weight forward. Might even feel like you're diving off the end of a dock or diving board. And then allow your knees to relax for a moment. Let your neck be soft. Let your head be heavy. You can nod your head yes, shake your head no. See what speaks to you. Take a few breaths there. Let gravity decompress your spine here. We spend so much of the day, well, normally, right? We spend our day upright or reclined. So now we're going to take things in reverse of gravity. It's really, really nice for the spine to get that decompression. And then once you've found that quality of ease, let's go ahead and sway this side to side. So you can create like a little pendulum. And what I like to do is have my students bring their hands to opposite elbows. So you get even more gravity with that. And again, no need for your knees to be long. In fact, absolutely make sure that they have at the bare minimum a micro bend. And then release your hands toward the earth. Go ahead and take your left foot to the outside of the right by crossing that left leg in front of your right low leg. So now you have the legs crossed at the lower leg aspect. Both knees have a bend, especially the right one here. Walk your hands out to your left and reach long through your right arm. You'll feel this really bright quality up along that right lateral line. See if you can tease out where it begins and ends sensationally. Inhale, exhale. One more breath there. Neck is soft, head is heavy. Inhale. Exhale, release. Let's switch the cross. Right comes outside of left. Both knees have that bend. Your right leg is in front of the left. You walk your hands out to the right side. And then from there, find that softness in the neck. You're reaching long through your left arm. You're feeling that bright stretch through the left side body. Is it the same as the right? Is it different? Typically, there'll be a subtle difference. Sometimes if you're really out of balance, things will be really different. Not necessarily what you're seeking. Another breath there. Neck is soft, head is heavy. Inhale. And on your exhale, so softly release. Uncross the feet, bend the knees. Inhale. On your exhale, press into your feet. Come up to standing and come up with a flat back or roll up through the spine. It's up to you. Take your arms up, your heart up, palms up. Inhale. On your exhale, softly release, bring your hands back down to the mat, walk them out. You walk all the way out to a high plank. I encourage you to take your hands mat width distance, maybe even wider here. So in yoga, we're taught shoulder width distance with our hands, and it's not anatomically really supportive for most of our shoulders, especially broader shoulders. So mat width distance is going to be a much more forgiving place for the shoulder joint. If you need to modify, you are welcome to bring the knees down, float the feet up, and just make sure that you're kind of activating and squeezing into your glute muscles. Come forward about an inch, and then go ahead and lower and hover your heart off the mat. Release your legs to the mat and inhale, finding that quality of that cobra or up dog if you'd like. Elbows are soft. See if you can roll your shoulders here. See how that feels. Just explore it. Get curious about it. Inhale. On your exhale, go ahead and allow those toes to tuck. Reach your hips back and allow your hips to come up toward down dog, and you'll keep your hands wide. So here in this downward facing dog, take your feet wide too. So you're going to broaden your down dog out to mat width distance apart. And just notice the breath. Invite the neck to be soft, the head to be heavy. You're welcome to nod your head yes, shake your head no. Invite those shoulder blades to snug down the back a little bit there. Inhale, exhale, and one more breath there. Inhale. On your exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. Toes will point out here and hips come down. This one tends to be quite intense for most of us with tight hips. So we're coming down to the depths of a squat that's tolerable both for the hips and the knees. And then the hands can come to the heart, or you can relax the arms down in between the legs and maybe do a couple wrist circles after that high plank pose. So here, we're in the deepest squat that we can achieve at this point in the practice, but we're not hanging in it. So it's not about just melting and getting deep into it. It's actually going to be a strength building squat. So you're going to press into your feet and actively engage. And then if you can, reactivate those toes. So feel for that little quality of like those prehensile toes grabbing there, noticing how that's going to start to fire everything up. You might feel your glutes engage a little bit more. You might feel your core lifting in and up a little bit, and then get light through the back of the skull. So we tend to let our heads drop forward in this, really float the back of the skull back and up. And we'll stay here. Inhale. Exhale, press those feet even firmer. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more breaths like this. Inhale. Exhale. And one more. Inhale. Exhale, release and fold. Your feet can stay turned out for now. You're in a wider forward fold here at the back of the mat. Find a little bit of side to side action. Just swaying it out. Notice if you've dropped back into your heels, keep that weight even through the ball of the foot, center the heel, ball the baby toe. Find a place at center. So we're going to stop that swaying and just find a place of neutral. And then place your left hand on the mat. Modification would be placing your left hand on a block. So we're going to find somewhere supportive. The knees have a bend. They are not going to be hyperextended. Start to feel the inner body lift. So if you can remember that quality of floating through the spine on your table, you want to start to implore some of that here. So before we go anywhere else, we'll just say for now, just stack your right hand on top of the left. See if you can find that fluid extension from the hips, low back, mid back, upper back, gazing out off the top edge of the mat, the neck. And then feel for that quality of rounding from the hips, low back, mid back, upper back, and the neck. 2 more times. Inhale from the hips, low back, mid back, upper back. Draw those shoulder blades close. Look forward. Exhale from the hips. Feel the core draw in and up, low back, mid back, upper back, neck. Inhale, extend. Feel that movement come through the spine, and then that right arm's going to come up into the air, but rather than just sweeping it up mindlessly, I want you to think of drawing a string on a bow. So let that lower arm be very loose, very soft. Draw that right shoulder blade toward the mid spine, and then allow your elbow to come up. Then allow your hand to extend up, and maybe your gaze goes with it, or perhaps your neck says, you know what, not today, and you honor that. Then release that right hand down, and we'll switch sides. So the right hand comes either onto your mat or your block. Again, your knees are soft. You're going to find that extension. Inhale, find that length, that flat back, and then draw that left arm up like you're drawing the string of a bow. Elbow, wrist, fingertips, and maybe the gaze, maybe not. We'll do it again. Release that left hand down. We'll switch to the right side. Inhale, find the length. Exhale, start to hug your feet toward each other as you unravel that right arm up. So you're activating all the way from foundation through expression. And then release it down. Inhale, find that length, that flat back. Exhale, drawing that left arm up. And release. One more time to each side. Soft knees, feet hug toward each other. Feel that connection. So just imagine that you're trying to slide your feet together. And then wave into that flat back. Then draw that right arm up. And relax your face. And go ahead and release one more time to the other side. So that left arm's going to come up. Everything from the inner body hugs in. And release. From there, if you're using a block, you'll place it aside, soften the knees, lift and spread the toes, almost like you're going to come back down into that squat. Inhale. As you exhale, feel for rounding through the spine. You're lifting up through the low back, coming up towards standing, mid back, upper back, neck, and gaze forward. You can step your feet in so they are about shoulder distance apart here. And go ahead and just feel for where the weight is in your feet. So shift, rock your weight forward and back for a moment. And then find a place that your right foot is going to be your support, where the ball, the foot, center, the heel, ball, the baby toe are your primary support mechanisms. So everyone's feet are really different. Some of us have flat feet. Some of us have really high arches. So I want you to find that place where you're going to have sort of an optimal balance, even if you have one of those more extreme expressions. And I'm just going to shift this camera up so that I'm not getting my head eliminated from the frame. There. So here we find those 3 points of the right foot, and then that becomes our foundation. And the left foot's going to get really light here, starting to play with lengthening that right leg and just lifting that left foot up, like almost like if it was, you know, you're testing bath water and you're like, yeah, I don't know, it's too hot. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. So we're just going to play with that movement for a moment. And when you lift that left leg, see if you can keep those bony masses aligned. So keep the skull over the ribs over the hips. So we're not letting anything pop out and forward. We're not overly tucking. We're not in a head forward posture. We want to have gravity plumbing down as neutrally through center as possible. Think of gravity coming down that right inner thigh. When you're ready, that left leg's going to go back out behind you. So you're going to take this left leg back, start to lengthen your right leg, keep the front of that left hip pointing straight down. We're taking what's called warrior 3. You're welcome to take your arms out like airplane arms. You can reach through the finger pads there. Nice balance, inhale. And then on your exhale, come up nice and tall. Left foot's going to come down onto the mat and we'll switch sides. So the right heel is light. Bony masses are stacked, bend and lengthen a few times, get all the musculature of that left leg starting to fire up, feeling supportive, aligning those bony masses. And then when you're ready, you'll start to lift that right leg up a little bit there. And again, play with lifting and touching. This lift of that right leg, you're getting into one of your deepest core muscles, the iliopsoas muscle. That plays a significant role in the stability of the lumbar spine. And a lot of what we experience as low back pain can actually be stuff going on with psoas. We'll get into that in a little bit. When you're ready, you'll start to find that warrior 3 expression. So you're going to send that right leg back, front of right hip points straight down, arms extend out, snug those shoulder blades together. Feel for retracting them, freeing them from hunching up near the ears. Play with your balance there. Inhale. And on your exhale, slowly take it back up. Take a moment, feet are side by side. Float the arms up, inhale. Exhale, softly release, walk your hands out, finding that wide plank here. Take your feet wide this time too. So we'll start off wider, both hands and feet. And then rather than swimming through that flow, we'll lower down, halfway hover, inhale. Exhale, press it up. You can modify this with the knees down. We'll do quite a few more. Gazes forward, relax your face, lower, press it up. Inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up. 3 more, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up. Last one, inhale down, Exhale up, release your knees. Melt your hips back, finding a brief child's pose. You're welcome to bring your brow to the mat. I will not demo that because you won't be able to hear me if I'm talking into my mat. Inhale. Exhale. Feel the heat, feel the fire. Inhale. Exhale. And one more breath like that. Inhale. Exhale. Slowly rise. Come to seated at the center of your mat. So here in seated, your feet will be close, kind of reminiscent of a bound angle pose. And again, just be mindful that you are near the middle of your mat, so you have plenty of space behind you. We'll be rocking and rolling here. You'll bring your hands to your shins for a moment. Invite the spine to align, get tall. Feel for lifting in and up through that mula bandha. Draw those elbows close to the rib cage. Feel the back of the skull float back. So this is a nice way to get a little traction through the shoulders, drawing those shoulders down out of the ears. Notice how your heart feels. Notice how your face feels. You know, if you're inclined to be grimacing a little bit with those push-ups, just relax here. Inhale. And then on your exhale, go ahead and gently release. You're going to come down to recline, and then you'll bring your feet up. They're still together. This will be a little play, a little test for all of us. Hands to the shins. Inhale. And on your exhale, see if you can rock back up. Extra points if your feet are floating up. So we'll do that again. I'll give you more chances. If you've never done it before, it probably feels really strange. You might have come up and sort of spun around a little bit too. That happens. So let's take it back. Inhale. Exhale, rock it up. And one more time. Inhale. Exhale, rock it up. And this time your feet are going to come onto the mat. And we'll come back toward that squat posture here. So you can use your hands. Go ahead and find yourself into that squat. Your feet will be wide for this. Your hips come down. Inhale, press into those feet, grab those toes into the mat. Exhale, take it up about halfway to standing. So now you're in a wider squat. This will be a little bit or a lot bit uncomfortable. Pull your hips back. That's going to unload your knees. And then with the toes turned out slightly, it's actually going to fire up a little bit more through that lateral line. You'll get more activity in your glutes, which is really supportive for the lower back. So just take a moment here, lower it down about ½ an inch, and then go ahead and press and come all the way up. Step those feet in. Your left foot will be your supporting foot this time. So your hands can relax down by your hips here. Left foot supports. Bend and lengthen the leg a little bit. Lift that right heel. Inhale. Start to test the water with that right foot. And then when you're ready, that right leg floats up and you'll start to take this into a warrior 3 here at the top of the mat. Arms can come out, finding those airplane arms. You're pressing firm through that left heel. Inhale. Exhale, snug those shoulder blades together. We'll be stepping that right foot back in 3, 2, 1. Bending the left knee, right toes reach toward the back of the mat. We're coming into a lunge. Right knee bends and bony masses align and stack. So skull over ribs, over hips. That right knee drops down below that right hip. Float your arms up, bring your palms together. Inhale. As you exhale, you're pivoting to open to the right side of your mat. Both feet turn. Want to make sure that those toes and knees point the same place. Inhale, and then on your exhale, you're releasing into a wide leg forward fold here. Once your hands are down, notice that your knees have a micro bend. Nod your head yes, shake your head no. Find a little side-to-side movement here. So just finding that little bit of side-to-side action. Swaying it out, letting the spine become that pendulum again. And then find a place at center. And here, we'll activate this quite a bit. So I want you to walk your hands back so that your fingertips are kind of in line with your toes. Like if you were to draw a horizontal line along the length of your mat, your fingertips would be resting on the same line as your toes. And then those elbows will bend back through the knees there. So your elbows are going to bend back. They look around, maybe around a 90-degree angle there. Imagine you're pressing your chest through that angle. So you're going to start to reach the heart through the thighs there, and then actively draw your feet toward each other. So start to really activate the inner body there, drawing the low belly in, drawing those shoulders wide, and soften, back off. Let the whole thing be so passive. Inhale, and exhale, press and hug into midline. And inhale, back off. And exhale one more time, press and hug it in. And gently release. Go ahead and walk your hands up toward the top of the mat. Let both feet pivot So they both point forward. Here, does not matter how much bend you have in your knees. You want length, but not hyperextension. So we'll come into some postures that have geometrical names, but I don't want the name to be something that is overly compelling in what you feel. So here, we're going to move into what's called triangle pose. But before we get there, bend your knees a lot. When we invite our knees to bend in our practice, it provides a lot more freedom in your hips and a lot more freedom in your spine. So we'll revisit that quality of drawing an arrow or drawing a bow with that right arm. Both knees are bent, and that right arm's going to come up, elbow, and then the wrist and the gaze can follow. Here, your left hand can rest either on that left shin, it can rest outside the foot, or you could place it on a block. And then you'll lengthen your legs, and it may be that you barely lengthen and you've met your edge. The idea is that you have the length and the reach through that right arm and the openness and the freedom through your spine. So the knees kind of come after that. Play with bending and lengthening those knees a couple of times here, and just notice all the sensations that arise. And relax your face. One more breath like that. Inhale. On your exhale, that right hand comes down. We'll switch to a revolve triangle. This one's quite a bit more confrontational, and to be really honest with you, it's not my favorite posture, but one of the reasons is because it is there's so many things that go into it, and it's hard, it's challenging. So bend those knees. Right hand will be on the mat or on a block this time. And then before we get into any kind of geometric expression, start to feel for opening that left hip point up to the left. And then allow the spine to unfurl, opening the heart to the left. Then extend that left arm up. Then find the length in the legs. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. It's not important to have the legs long. The freedom in the spine is what you're looking for more than anything else. So I encourage you, bend your knees a lot. Play with opening that heart up to the left. Don't worry about reaching your left hand back and out behind you. That's not the objective. Keep those left finger pads reaching up toward the sky. See if you can relax that right elbow, relax that right shoulder, and then go ahead and gently release. Left hand comes down. Walk your hands up to the top of the mat. Gazes forward. Inhale. Exhale. Step forward. Fold forward. Shake the nonsense out. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Bring your hands supportively. Mat with distance apart. Look forward. Inhale. We'll take it back to high plank. You're welcome to exhale and hop back, or exhale and step back. So come back. Gazes forward. Snug everything into the middle. So I'm going to hug those feet to each other, hug the knees, hug the inner thighs, lift the low belly, swim forward an inch, lower it down. Find that upward facing or that cobra pose. Inhale there, relax those elbows. Exhale, take it back to that wide downward facing. Breathe there, 3 breaths. Check in. Feel the space that you've begun to create. Feel the heat that you've created. Maybe you've made some observations that are really helpful. Maybe you're just really confused. Neither one is ideal. Neither one is perfect. So it's just an observation tonight. And then from there, your gaze is forward. We'll hop it right up to the top of the mat. Bend the knees. Inhale. Exhale, feet come up wide to that squat. So we're going to take it down. Press those feet into the mat. It's open, but it has stability. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more breaths there. Hugging in and up the whole time. So we're pressing into those feet. We're going to spark the toes, really activate the legs, reach the back of the skull back. Inhale. 1 more breath there. Exhale, lengthen. Take it all the way up. Step those feet in. They are shoulder distance apart. So we'll change things up a little bit here. Right foot is supporting. Hands can be down. Lift up through the inner body. So here, when we lift this left leg, I want you to think of the left leg being lifted up from the spine. Rather than just getting all marchy in the hip crease there, think of lifting it up, like almost like a swooping feeling from the back of the thigh. And then let that be your support. That's going to be much more stable. That's your core. That's into psoas. Then start to send that left leg back. You've got the support that will help your balance feel more stable. Take your arms out, hug those shoulder blades together and down the back. Press through that left heel. Feel that lift through the right inner thigh. Feel that foundational lift. Bend into the right knee. The left toes will start to touch toward the back edge of the mat in 3, 2, 1, and then pull it back and find that lunge there. Right knee is above or behind the ankle. Left knee is dropped down underneath the hip. Float the arms up. Inhale. And on your exhale, we'll start to fold over this right leg, bending the knees as much as necessary. And then pull your hips back. You can still have your knees bent, so both feet are pointing toward the top edge of the mat. That right hand will come either to the outside of the foot or to the shin or to a block if you prefer. This left arm will start to unravel up. So again, like you're drawing the string of a bow, knees are bent. Left elbow goes up, and then the hand expresses out through, and then the legs lengthen as much as is accessible without hyperextending the knees. So we want to be mindful that we always have play in the knee joint here. Really important for the structural integrity of the joint. If you'd like to add intensity to this, you are welcome to draw your feet toward each other. Think of doing this on ice. So if you are on a slippery foundation, you're going to hug those feet together, and that's going to change the quality. It's going to intensify it, even with that bend in the knees. Another breath there. Release that left hand down. Get ready for the other side, or that revolved version. So imagine that you're drawing that left hip forward a little bit, opening that right hip. And again, knees are bent. Then unravel that right arm up. Keep those knees bent. Keep that play. See if you can relax your left shoulder. Get those parts into place. Then if you want to lengthen your legs there, you're welcome to. That can be pretty confrontational for a lot of us. So just breathing there. Maybe you have to make some adjustments, move things around, make space. Play with that. Relax your face. One more breath there. And gently release. Hands are going to walk forward, look forward, inhale, exhale, step forward, fold forward. We've opened up both sides of the pelvis. We've opened up both sides of the back line of the body. And so now we'll neutralize that in a forward fold. But rather than letting it be passive like we have previously, we will activate it. So embrace your legs. Wrap your arms around the back of your thighs. Let your neck be soft, head be heavy. Allow those knees to be soft. Take a moment here. Inhale, knees are so soft. As you exhale, hug deep and lengthen the back of the legs as much as is accessible without falling back into your heels. So if you're hyperextending and you're really just shifting your weight back, then you want to back off of that a little bit. And then release. Let it all get so passive, soft. Inhale and exhale. Deepen, hug, and lengthen the back of the thighs. This is called PNF stretching. It facilitates different sense of space. And then soften. It's a very active way of increasing the length of a muscle or tissue. And one more time, lengthen, hug, and release. Allow your feet to heel toe out so they are mat width distance apart. Invite your hips down for one last one of those squats. I know they're not everybody's favorite posture, especially if you have tight hips or a tight low back, but the anecdote for that is that, you know, one of my favorite anatomists, I'm just going to torture you here in this pose for a minute, is Tom Myers, and he is the pioneer behind the whole system known as Anatomy Trains. I've followed him for many years, and Tom was he was a literature major at Harvard, and his very sort of colloquial way of framing all of this was, where you think it is, it ain't. So when we come into this idea of having tension in our lower back or having discomfort in our knees, a lot of times it's in the hips. Let's go ahead and release those hips down to the mat. Take it back, bring the soles of the feet toward each other. The feet can be quite a distance away from the hips. They do not need to be sucking in toward, like, making full contact. This isn't about grand expression, it's about sensation. So I'd rather your feet be quite a distance out and your knees be tolerant of that. If you need additional support, you can always shim underneath the thighs with blocks or with pillows or with anything that you have. Maybe you have melons, who knows, right? So then when you're ready, you're folding. And rather than just getting really round in this, right, we want to fold with integrity. So all of us can round our spines quite a bit. We do that a lot during the day. We do that when we drive. We do that when we're doing stuff in front of us at a counter. So rather than just letting things collapse and perpetuating patterns that don't necessarily serve us very well, see if you can stay long. Think of that, if you come back to that idea of that extension, one vertebrae at a time, all the way from the hips, and then fold that lengthened spine forward. It might feel like you're way backed off. It might feel a lot shorter or less expressive than you really imagining, and that's okay. It's not about bringing your forehead to your feet or to your mat. It's about finding that spacious quality through the lower back. So we'll stay here for another breath and then back off a little bit, and we'll take this out to the side. So let's walk the hands out to the right, reach long through your left arm. Now you're starting to feel this a little bit more through the left side of the lower back. And here we'll revisit that extension and flexion. So inhale, see if you can extend from your hips, low back, mid back, upper back, back of skull. And then round from your hips, low back, mid back, upper back, back of skull. Relax those elbows, shoulders away from the ears. 2 more times. Inhale, extend. Relax your thumbs. Exhale to round. Inhale, extend. So you feel that dynamic between right side body and left low back. Exhale, round. It's symbiotic. Left low back, right obliques. 1 more time. Inhale, extend. Maybe get a few adjustments with the breath. Wouldn't that be nice? Exhale, round. And then let's walk it over to the other side. So we'll walk the hands over to your left. We're reaching long through the right arm here. Inhale, extend. Maybe it's a lot more restricted. Maybe you have a lot more freedom. Exhale, round. If you want to make this more intense, you'll press your feet firmly together. Inhale, extend. Exhale to round. And 1 more time. Inhale and exhale. Take it back to center. Get tall. Make sure you have enough space behind you to recline. We're going to come down onto our backs here. I'll let you bring your feet out. You can do whatever you want, but I'll invite you to bring your feet out, hands to the shins here. We'll take this down slow. So from here, we'll come down onto our backs. Low back. Keep those feet touching. Mid back. Upper back. The head comes down. Extend your left leg out. Let it be so soft and passive. Float your right foot up. Right knee is going to be right over that right hip for now. Take your right hand to the outside of right thigh. Draw that right knee toward your left shoulder. So you're going to draw it across the body. And then take your left hand and capture some aspect of your right low leg. Now, this may be that you bring your hand to your shin. This may be that you can cup your hand underneath your foot. Doesn't matter where your hand is. What matters is the sensation and that it feels okay for your knee. So here we explore getting into the depths of that right side of the hip and what the angle of the knee tells us about that hip. So right now we're at a pretty neutral angle, close to 90 degrees. Try extending the back of that knee a little bit. Try lifting that right foot kind of up and over that left shoulder a little. Notice the sensation that comes into that right hip. And then bend that knee a little bit more and notice the depths of that knee toward shoulder action that you're getting. Be mindful that your head is on your mat, your shoulders are relaxed. Try extending it. Try flexing it a little bit. So you see, depending upon the angle of the knee, there's a change in the hip. When we have restriction in our hips, it transfers directly into our knees. 1 more time. Lengthen and bend. Right hand again is on the outside of the hip. You're going to find a neutral place, so not too bent, not too long. Press the outside of that right leg and thigh into the hand. So just kind of find opposition, engage, actively press like you're trying to send your leg out across the room, and then let it be very soft and passive. And press and engage. Equal amounts of opposition. So the hand presses into the leg presses into the hand, and soften and release. And we'll extend that right leg out, let that right leg get soft. You can kind of flop the foot around for a moment. Bring the left foot up, left hand to the outside of left knee. Right hand comes either to the shin or the foot, whatever makes the most sense. Make sure that your shoulders are relaxed. Begin to draw that left shin across, that left knee across toward your right shoulder. It is just a general direction. It's not about making contact with those 2 points. That will not be the goal of this practice. And then play with that bending and lengthening and just notice there. Do you get any clicking, any grinding, any little twinges? What is your body saying to you? What is the relationship from that point above, that left hip, and that point below, that left knee? And then when you're ready, you'll find your opposition. So press the outside of that left leg into that left hand and soften. Resist and press and soften and release. Send it out. Shake the legs out, flap the feet around, let those legs have a nice neutral. Take a moment here, make any little adjustments that you need to. We'll find a very short Shavasana. So Shavasana is corpse pose if this practice is new to you. Shavasana, I'm not going to lie to you, can sometimes be one of the hardest poses for a lot of people. It is the practice of doing absolutely nothing, and it is exceptionally valuable. So I'll explain that while you get into it. Make any little adjustments that you need. You can bring your feet wide. You can extend your arms out if that feels good. Become Vitruvian man for the end of practice. Triumphant in this practice. And then just let your breath be passive here. So it doesn't have to have that rhythmic balance between inhale and exhale. Just let it be gentle. Allow the body to soften. Let your feet be heavy. Allow your lower legs to be heavy. Let your knees become soft. Let your thighs be heavy. Allow your hips to be soft and heavy. Let your lower back melt toward the earth. Allow the spine to become heavy on the mat. The shoulders relax. The back of the arms are heavy. The hands are soft. Your neck relaxes. Maybe you need to swallow and let your throat relax a little bit more. The head is heavy on the mat. The jaw is soft and your tongue can rest on the roof of the mouth. Your eyes close and your eyeballs become heavy in the sockets. So as we breathe here, this is when your nervous system says, now I have to figure out what to do with all of the things I just asked of it. This is when the body commits what's called muscle memory to some of those patterns that we moved toward tonight. So rather than letting those be something that we do all the time, they become something that we can embody without having to think so hard about it. But part of that is being able to let go here and give the nervous system that ease and that space to integrate. So it's the reset. It's the powering down. It's allowing any errors to clear. It's allowing everything to have that moment of darkness. And then when you're ready, you'll spark some light back into it. So you can start to move your fingers and toes. Maybe you circle out your wrists and your ankles. If it feels good, take a long stretch. Reach your arms overhead. Inhale. Exhale. And then from there, gently bring your feet onto the mat. Feel your lower back soften toward your mat for a moment. So just resting the feet gently and passively. And then allow your knees to fall out to the right side, and you can take your arms out to a T if you'd like. If you want to intensify this, you can cross your left leg over the right. You can even bring your right hand to the outside of the thigh. Inhale. Exhale, get soft and heavy through the back of that left arm. Heavy and soft through that right shoulder. Relax through the face. And then gently bring both feet back onto the mat. Let those knees fall out to the left side. Option here of crossing that right leg over, taking that left hand to the outside of the right thigh if you'd like. Feel the softness through your right arm. Inhale. Exhale, gently release. Come back to center. Invite your feet up off the mat. Bring your hands behind your thighs. Feet will reach up. Inhale. Exhale, rock it up. So here we're just about at close, but before we do that, if you are inclined to do any myofascial work on your own time or join me for a melt class, I'd be happy to have you. But just a little key for men's low back stuff. In all my years of practicing massage therapy, you can spend an abundance of time working on the lower back. And the truth is that freeing that up is actually below that ridge of the pelvis. So if you get that bony point of the hips, all the work that you really want to focus on is below that, coming into that space underneath that ridge there on either side of your sacrum, especially if you have any kind of golfing that you really like to do. A lot of that force lands in one side. So just something to consider, maybe something to do after this practice. So here, finding your seat however you like, and just taking a moment to observe, noticing the sensations that have arisen for you, the shifts that have occurred, the alchemy of your practice. Thank you for practicing with me tonight. If you have any questions, please feel welcome to reach out. Namaste. Good night. So thank you. And hopefully I'll see you soon. I think your rating thing pops up. Please give me 5 stars. And I will talk to you whenever.